Hello and welcome to the Tech Off Topic podcast. The chaos as normal, brought to you from Birmingham. Again, one day this will be on the road, but not now. And for the first time ever, we have a room full of DevRels and more than just me and Jim being gobby.
Hello.
So first thing is I'm going to drag in Jim because that's what we do. So Jim can do his intro.
This award-winning podcast. Hello, everybody. I'm Jim. I'm dialing in because I had my night out last night, so now I get to sit at home.
Yeah. Very successful night out, the event, etc.
It was, yeah. It was good. It was good fun. It was Christmas vibe and cheer. Before I get into my Christmas fact of the day, I need to let the guests introduce themselves.
Okay then.
Hello. That was Mike's official one. That apparently means introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Eli. I like to yell about tech. Find me on the internet.
Horribly accurate for what we do for a living.
Angry Eli shouts at cloud.
Yeah, basically.
Well, hello, I'm Yulia, and I do that role. I am Mike's boss.
Oh, I hate that's the lead in. Ladies and gentlemen, the first time ever you will see me behave.
I won't, because I'm not a lady or a gentleman. So it's a
that's
cheap joke, but I have to make it every time.
Doubling down on the good start.
I want to slam on the table, but we'll all hear it.
We'll all know what will happen because the camera will go again.
Oh yeah, but I'm not in there, and I tend to do a lot of hand flailing.
You talk with your hands,
pretty much, yeah.
It's one stage away from being Italian.
It's the acting blood in me, really. Anyway, my boring Christmas fact of the day is I always put on a Christmas gift to you by Phil Spector. Please don't judge me. I know that he's a murderer, but I put that on. And I found out the last album that he produced. Well, he didn't produce an album. The last album he was on, and it's the weirdest. It's the weirdest thing that you'd expect. It's in 2003 before he was convicted, and he produced 2 tracks of "Silence Is Easy" by Star Sailor. I mean, that's not really going out with a bang, is it?
No, that's more like going out with a whimper.
I think the album he produced before that was in 1980 by the Ramones, so kind of a bit different.
Here's your life. Here's your exiting the universe.
Yeah. I mean, and Star Sailor, it's like sort of keen, isn't it? It's sort of like, here's some music that's officially beige. So there's nothing about it, is there? It's just there.
It's middling Coldplay. It's just a rainy day.
Yeah,
I saw a gravestone today near the cathedral in Birmingham that said somebody on a certain date had exchanged time for eternity. And I kind of feel like this is the most mundane version of that.
Yeah.
It's ending your career that way.
It's the sort of thing where it doesn't even deserve a obituary moment.
Can I go to heaven, please? Sure, but you have to produce an album by Star Sailor. Oh. Okay.
Could have been worse. Could have been Groove Armada.
Groove Armada were good.
All right.
Good. What's this all about? You're going to okay boomer me in a sec. The Groove Armada were great. We were mentioning like Keen and Coldplay and, like sort of, do you remember Travis? Oh, goodness me. Like, come on, cheer up, lads.
Yeah, that's definitely an okay boomer thought.
Look, none of you are interested in boring music. I find boring music quite interesting sometimes. Like Coldplay, one of the biggest bands in the world, and I just, just how have they done it? I mean, and Ed Sheeran, there's sort of one man and his guitar. There's just nothing about him, is there?
Bullshit. One man and his guitar, a producing studio, a butt ton of people in the background, and being a little ginger weirdo.
Is he a weird? I know that
We're talking about the same Ed Sheeran Game of Thrones star, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Didn't he?
He was in Game of Thrones.
He was in Game of Thrones.
He's in Game of Thrones for like
Wait,
5.
where?
Yeah, he has like 3
I think
lines.
he dies pretty swiftly. Thankfully.
I think it's in series 4 or 3. He was one of the. He was.
Oh no, it's
part of the
later than
thieves
that.
in
They
it.
were fully off the rails by the time they had Ed Sheeran in there.
Oh, we've got chatbots. I haven't seen
shut
chat. I haven't seen spam on here before. So,
Do we want more viewers, lads? It's a good price, apparently.
I mean, are they going to like it? What's their profile? Maybe more music audience than tech. I don't know. But didn't Ed Sheeran? He built a swimming pool in his house without planning permission, and then when Suffolk County Council pulled him up on it, he said that it was actually a nature reserve and it was a giant duck pond. And you're like, mate, come on.
Let's be fair, he's in Surrey, half of Surrey. Oh, here we built our fabulous thing. Now we need to get it past the council.
It was like that. There was that farmer that built like his dream house and it wasn't approved. So you could see it from the edge of a motorway. So he just put like a 25 by 25 meter wall of bales of hay to try and hide it. You're like, you can just walk around the hay, can't you? You can't pretend it's not there, mate.
Did my dream home succeed in its stealth check?
Just waiting for that moment to get like a giant invisibility cloak.
Covering it in bales of hay. It's just like, okay, roll deception to pretend that your dream home is in fact like a farm.
I'm gonna find out if you type in farmer planning permission, bales of hay. I wonder if that brings it up. Yeah,
I mean, the planning permission story I'm excited about is Elon Musk trying to turn Twitter HQ into
a hotel.
I was going to say a hotel, but that is giving it too much credit.
Yeah, I had a look at some of the pictures. It's middling at best, isn't it? Really,
it's nearly as terrible as the Brewdog Hotel.
It's dystopian. It's really dystopian.
Brewdog Hotel.
Brewdog. All right. So part of the Brewdog, we all know, are kind of shit humans. They make okay beer, but
hold on. What they are is they're basically a like loads of the sort of agencies in tech. They're like the beer equivalent of that. Expansion at all costs, sod anybody's well-being. Apparently, yes. The bars themselves, the middle management and the managers of each individual bar. I love this. I wonder where this comes from the top, because they always say that corporate culture comes from the top. Apparently, they were obsessed with the lights, like the level of the dimmable lights and the music volume. And they used to tell off staff about it all the time. Oh, it's Luce Carter. Hello.
Hey, we have a Luce.
There we go. Here's his bean-shaped pond. I found the farmer one as well, by the way.
Feel free to drop it in, mate. But yeah, the Brewdog, they, as part of their corporate responsibility, bought a huge nature reserve area in Scotland to maintain and actually have it run by the company as a corporate responsibility thing. But to make it still make money, because, you know, shitheads, they put a giant hotel on it. So you, as somebody who's going to their hotel, is paying for their corporate responsibility program.
Oof.
We haven't even got onto the tech side of things yet, and it's already getting wonky.
We went straight into the capitalism end.
Straight into the late stage, the never-ending late stage capitalism. What's his name again? Is it James Watt or something? He's a right Burke, isn't he? It's just painful listening to him talk. He was the one that masterminded, or his PR firm masterminded the. Thanks. There we go. I can't put it in the normal chat because it's me. Yeah, he was the one that did all the anti-World Cup for Qatar thing of like, yeah. First it's Russia, then it's going to be Iran or North Korea or whatever. Right, with Brewdog being a major sponsor with FIFA of the actual World Cup itself. So you're not really practicing what you preach at all, are you?
No, they weren't in partnership. It was an anti-campaign.
No. I mean, there was the anti-campaign.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they were in bed with FIFA behind the scenes.
Oh, cock.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just them for you, isn't it?
Sorry, I was just terribly British. Oh, cock.
Cock and balls. Luke Brown, who was on it a couple of episodes before. Did you see him do this in the pub? Him and a couple of his mates went online to find 1940s phrases and started using them indeterminately all the time. So and you don't know what half of them mean, and they're just doing it because they want to. Indubitably.
For the sheer joy of it. I love that.
I'm already doing double takes at half the shit you're saying.
I'm creative with my words. Let's just put it that way. If I have to start giving examples here, we're going to have to put an 18 rating.
There's a Victorian saying that I really love, and it's got the morbs, which is nothing to do with Morbius, but it's when it's when you got the blues. I'm having a bad day today. I've really got the morbs.
Hang on, no, I had that after I watched that film.
No, but I heard it before. So
Okay.
I heard it before. I heard it before. It's cool, but it's I just think it's really cute.
I quite like having a turn, because that doesn't mean anything, does it?
No,
So I appear to be having a bit of a turn. Turning where? What do you mean? How did that come about?
Okay.
Oh yeah, you heard the same thing I did. Not gonna lie, we heard turd.
Having a turd, that's a bit more direct, isn't it? That needs no explanation.
I think having a turn could mean whatever you want it to mean.
Victorian, it's having hysteria.
Yes.
Yeah. So in classic sort of Victorian style, it's having a turn is having a massive panic attack. But we don't want to talk about that. So I'm just having a bit of a
mild panic attack.
Oh dear, I seem to be losing my shit.
How distinguishable was this from the laudanum withdrawal?
Oh man, they loved it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, they were very, very good with the drugs.
Absolutely off their tits on drugs 100% of the time.
So much better than us.
I can see that happening.
So the misheard bit about poo brings me on to something that's vaguely kind of tech related, which is quite funny. So I've mentioned it a couple of times, and there was one episode where I read out a Didn't Happen of the Year award winner, and I was crying whilst doing it because it was so bad. My new favorite thing, even though it's been going around for ages, is the state of LinkedIn, and the state of LinkedIn just lifts all of the worst of the kind of people attempting to be business influencers with all sorts of things.
All the people effort posting on LinkedIn.
That's a new one that I'm gonna steal off you, Eli. Effort posting. So here we go. I didn't think about this until you mentioned that, so I pulled it up anyway because my wife sent it to me because she saw it on LinkedIn. I got pulled over on the way back home from grabbing McDonald's with my niece. I was going 12 miles an hour over the speed limit. As the officer started walking up to the car, I rolled all of my windows down. My adorable and apparently incredibly smart 7-year-old niece started screaming from the back seat, "It's coming out. I can't hold it any longer. It's almost here." Now the trooper is hearing her scream this and leads into the window and asks her, "What's going on here?" She looks him dead in the face and says, "I've got poop coming out of my butt." He started laughing. I was shocked and embarrassed. He asked how far I had to go, which was about 3 miles. He told me to drive safe and get little Miss Poo Poo Butt home to do her business, and he could not stop laughing. As we pulled away, I asked, "What was all that about?" My niece smirked and said, "I saw it on YouTube, but didn't think it would work." This thing you're writing about, this didn't happen, did it? Really, did it? This didn't happen.
No.
Does
Why?
even?
It's taken you like a lot of time to write that on YouTube. What? Why have you written that? No one cares. Everyone knows it's nonsense.
We could actually bring this on to a tech off topic, which is on the sheet. It could have been done by ChatGPT.
It was only a matter of time, really.
Yes.
Yeah. We can only avoid talking about our new AI overlords for so long.
Well, all I can say is we officially have a replacement to Jim.
Did you see? Was it Aaron Bassett on Twitter doing write a tweet to celebrate the launch of our new thing, and it wrote like perfect DevRel.
Oh, it wrote an absolute. It was just. There's no need for us to exist.
Well, there's no need for us to be on Twitter, which I'm excited for.
Yeah, well, it's because you've migrated yourself to Mastodon.
Oh, I am absolutely still shitposting on Twitter as well. Elon Musk can pry it from my cold dead hands, but I'll be excited to automate the bits of it that I have to do for capitalism reasons rather than my own indulgence.
I think they're stopping it. They're trying to stop sort of cross posts and trying to restrict anything that's interacting with the API anyway, aren't they? Because Musk.
Well, it might be to cover up the fact that the API is slowly degrading.
If only there were some sort of service discovery and microservices that could possibly fix that in an automated fashion. Who knows?
Well, if only you had a core engineering team still.
I mean, it
Or
helps if you
any
have
lawyers,
people
of
to fix
course.
things. Yeah.
I have loved the every time a news article comes out about Twitter and it says we reached out to Twitter who no longer have a legal department or who no longer have a communications department.
Yeah, and also anyone from the EU who was under EU laws was liable to be paid has not being paid. I don't think. So
Yeah,
half of payroll have actually left. So
Mhm.
only the hardcore engineers are left, right? I don't
Yeah.
even know who's out there
Good luck to
sleeping in
them
the
figuring out
in the little hotel.
Oh, yeah, I've seen pictures of engineering team at Twitter before and after.
all the people on H1B visas. That's who's left.
Yes. Also, anyone who did not look like all the other ones.
Yeah, it's either it's visas or sausages. Take your pick.
I won't respond to that.
It's no, James. I'm not drinking a bottle of wine whilst I'm doing the podcast. That would make me. That
We're
would
pouring
make
it into
me.
a glass.
To be honest, it is a big bottle. No, it's just a beer.
To be fair, we did walk away last night with bottles of wine, so we can't say anything.
5 between the two of us. I don't know if Yulia had any.
I was
as well.
hearing it.
Oh yeah, of course you were.
That sounds quite hairy.
Things they don't tell you when you interview for a job in DevRel.
Having a functional liver.
That sometimes there might be a bar tab that needs clearing, and or you just got to do the noble thing.
I think you're looking for the word resilient.
Mm-hmm.
The worst thing about going out with people that all do DevRel is if there's a cluster of them. There's always one of them that bloody insists every single time on doing karaoke, and everyone thinks it's the best idea ever. What is that? Why? It's all right.
We're all of us raising our hands.
Like,
you're the only one out of that.
I can take or leave it.
Next question.
We had flipping Disney karaoke on Wednesday night.
And I did end up on stage.
You did.
There you go. There we go. So for anyone
salty.
not within the niche of our little world of DevRel, whenever there was the DevRel conference, DevRelCon was last week, and of course naturally it descended into karaoke because apparently that's what we do.
That's the natural state of the DevRel.
Yeah, our first one in Tokyo, we even ended up in one of the giant karaoke bars.
We had karaoke in NDC Sydney. It was great. It was out till 4 a.m.
Karaoke is good. As long as it's not forced on anything. When you're forced to sing, then it sucks.
Yeah.
It has to be opt-in.
Oh yeah, opt-in karaoke is the best.
It's all right, but it's just got. I think I've just got scarred too many times by going to the yellow pub. Do you remember yellow pubs? It's a Scream, the student pubs. Going to there and like karaoke night, it was £1 a pint to get people in, but it was like it's always a group of people singing "I Will Survive" at like 9:30, and you're just like, I just don't need this in my life. And then the Grease medley, and it was always the same things every time. Anyway, not. Probably on brand and not to the surprise of anybody, my mate and I decided to do it only once, and we did Pretty Vacant by the Sex Pistols, and everyone hated it. And both of us broke our mics by swinging them accidentally. And then we got banned and never did it again. We ended up being punk without even attempting to be punk. It was just we just hated it so much.
Right, I think we officially need to pick a topic.
Well, we've skirted around one, haven't we?
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm going. We should pick one so we actually can get tech and then go off topic.
We started off topic and went on to tech.
Yeah,
Non-linear podcast.
I'm going to make it Yulia's problem.
My problem.
Yeah, because she's been the quiet one.
Yes, because I'm music stupid.
Okay.
I feel like it's too heavy to take it in.
You look like you don't want to pick any of them.
Oh, you don't do it in any order. Just pick one at random. I may not have, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize. I may not have explained all the rules before we started. And one of those rules is that there are no really rules, really. Sorry.
It's like Mornington Crescent. There's going to be no one watching this who knows what that is or listens to Radio 4. So I might as well just stop now.
Oh, okay. I know what that is.
Okay. There you go. So it's Mornington Crescent rules, but it's Mornington Crescent, but we're playing Birmingham rules.
Nice. Yulia, what's your choice?
I feel like we can start with a random fact, and that is yours.
Oh, yeah.
yes,
This
that is a
is
random fact.
this is my random fact. There's not really much discussion here, other than thinking of Ed Sheeran, the one man and his guitar. He did the song for the new Pokemon game, the credit scene for the new Pokemon game that's just come out, and is unspeakably buggy, but at the same time somehow apparently still very fun. But the thing is, there's a spider Pokemon in this new game, and the evolved form is called Spidops. And of course, me being me, all I can think about is like, oh, I might not be adequately leveraging spiders in my CI pipeline. I really need to get some Spidops professionals in here.
Could we also, to make it authentic, like also splice it in with the new things of DevSec
GitOps.
Spids.
DevSec
how many-
Spidops.
There we go. I mean, this is starting to sound like I was going to say. Well, like a
You don't want to organize a conference next year for DevSec Fin Spidops.
Too many acronyms.
And then we pitch it to VC people and say this is the next big thing.
Yeah.
Also, I am the creator of Spidops, and as a discipline, and as a result, I'm the authority on it. So I can come into your business if you pay me £350,000, and I will teach you all about Spidops. And what you do is, it's actually whenever you like push, there's like a command line terminal response when you push of this new Pokemon. That'll be £350,000 piece. Ting 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 ting.
Yeah. The qualification for becoming a practitioner of Spidops is that you have to complete the Pokédex.
I mean, that's surely in terms of accreditation is not that far off. Some of the other accreditations. What's the one that the BS something do? The Society of Computing, the BSC, they do one, don't they? Do you need to be like a 60-year-old white man who does Microsoft things to get it or something? Is that like your
or Tom Goodman?
Oh yeah, he loves it, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's also got most of their accreditations. Tom Goodman is 23, 24, some really young.
The youngest owner of BSc accreditations.
Yeah. He's the youngest non-binary person that I have ever seen in the BCS. British Computing Society.
BCS, that's it.
The green people.
Right.
The thing that when you in the early stages of computer science degrees in the UK, you get to your third year and they say, now you should really consider your professional qualifications. Now, there's only really one professional qualification body in the UK. It is the BCS. Officially, nobody has ever had any value from those accreditations that I have.
It was an attempt to be like the Chartered Institute, wasn't it? Of like, well, we need to have some professional body, and technology is the Wild West, and it just didn't work. We're not estate agents. Do you know what I mean? Not architects.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking the other day with Dylan Beatty about like what would even a software degree look like if you were going to teach it in universities. We basically both sort of thought, well, stuff moves too fast for that to actually be a thing. That's your like you can teach like principles of engineering, I guess, but whatever JavaScript framework you teach somebody in university is not going to be the thing that they end up working with, probably.
And also,
my degree is in algebraic topology, and God knows I don't use that. So,
also, the most people it might just be me, but the most people who are successful in tech have not studied that, but they kind of have the same thing in common where they got the thinking process right and they can match systems and how things work and figure out and solve problems.
Well, I fit that box a bit in my dissertation was in stand-up comedy, and my degrees in English literature and theatre, except the bit where I'd figured out how to actually do tech, because I still haven't done that. I just get on stage and talk about it.
It's interesting because you do find that people like draw together all these different threads of like different disciplines, and then in the middle of it, they've spun this web of things that they're good at, and they've connected it all to technology. A bit like a spider, it's Spidops.
I smell a copyright claim coming on now.
I don't want to fight Nintendo.
God no.
Just as an FYI, I come from a ridiculously traditional tech background. I have a computer science degree and did all the normal paths in. I still have no idea what I'm doing.
Mike's boring.
That's
You
all right.
should. Well, actually, Mike. Now that you mentioned that you've had a traditional background, I've heard that there's this professional technology body with a green logo.
That's a quick callback joke as well.
There you go. We're even though I'm not in person, which I really don't, which I hate. I think there's we've all had snappy moments just now. But as it was Pokemon? What can someone tell me what happened to Pokemon Go? The flash in the pan, everyone walking into
It's
walls.
still going.
It's still going. It has a really hardcore community of people.
Yeah, there's people who spend a lot of money on it as well still.
Do you still get training zones where you just get random clumps of people holding their phones?
Yes.
Does that still happen?
Spend enough time in Pigeon Park, because there are 3 Pokestops around Pigeon Park and a gym in the middle of it.
Yep.
It will suddenly, just on a random day, be filled with people ranging from 17 to 50.
Yeah.
You can tell it's on them because all you can see is.
Yeah, I got involved with the Cambridge community like a couple of years ago, so it's still a few years after it had been out. And yeah, there's like dedicated groups of people who are like, oh, have you got this Pokemon? Are you doing this raid? Yeah.
It's like, wow, it will never die.
I think it's like Gen 7 now in Pokemon Go. They're like releasing the most recent Pokemon, not the most recent one, because it's Gen 9, but
it's gonna turn into that like those sort of super hardcore communities. Like what's the one where the game itself is so sort of grindy and boring, but it requires hundreds of players, and now it's got its own huge unwieldy economy. It's a space thing. EVE Online.
EVE Online.
EVE Online.
Yeah.
EVE Online, where they almost sort of write the history books by creating things that happen that are just unexplained. Like I remember reading about one huge event about 5 years ago, 4 years ago, and the way it unfolded, it was just like a story. And you just think, I thought the experience of people playing EVE Online is like, I'm an accountant for this faction. That's it.
Yeah.
As long as you know your place.
I think Pokemon Go is going to have the anime manga problem where they are catching up to the canonical main series of Pokemon. They're releasing like the old Pokemon so quickly that we're going to get to a point where Pokemon Go is on par with like, the generations of Pokemon, and they're going to take over and be the ones who create new Pokemon. They're going to have a divergence, or they're going to have like a lot of beach episodes.
So they're gonna Game of Thrones Pokemon.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the Game of Thronesing of things has been a thing in anime for about 2 decades. As somebody who previously had a Naruto tattoo, I'm very aware of this.
That's what happened to Fullmetal Alchemist as well. That's why Brotherhood exists, right? Because they cocked it up the first time.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Also, one of the problems that happened with Bleach. You know I'm a weeb.
I was into Naruto too young to consider getting a tattoo.
I'm only into Naruto running.
Yep. People listening to the audio-only version won't be able to appreciate that.
I'm just loving that Jim is appreciating this virtually with me doing the Naruto run in my chair.
That's
On the
Mike's
camera,
one is.
we can't see your arms at all, so it's just like the front of you wiggling.
It's just waddling. You know the That's hilarious. Mike has just fallen over. That is absolutely brilliant.
Our designated Mike slapstick moment for the day. You're right, mate.
Mike's just sort of just left the room. He was like, can't deal with it.
It's all right. We have a spare chair.
Can we have like? Is there a way? Is there a way we can get a recorded version of this where when like Mike does his octopus thing on his Twitch stream? Then we can get Mike doing his Naruto running and breaking the chair and then falling off it.
Oh, I just got stabbed in the backside by my own chair.
That's not something you hear every podcast, is it?
Oh, that's an expensive mistake I'm going to have to pay for. With both my meat and my money.
Do you know what it is, though? Content.
Sorry, ladies and gents, we have derailed this with my butt.
I love that this is the episode you're doing with just to add some psychic damage to the physical damage you've just received.
Do you have a spare mic? Oh. All right, next topic.
Next topic after all that excitement.
Yeah, I need something to take my mind off my butt.
Well, as long as you can make content out of it.
Do you want to look at that? Anyone joining now is like, what is going on here? If you want, Mike, you can have a cat butt. Look, there you go.
Cat friend, show us the cat friend.
Oh, actually, I'll interject with the topic I wanted to bring up because of ChatGPT. So ChatGPT bot generating things. Right, so there's been a whole thing on social media. Everybody's seen it. Lensa.
Yep.
They've generated avatars. Like even Jim, who doesn't like social media, has seen it.
I tried to do the Lensa things, and then it said like select 20 pictures of yourself, and I was like, I don't have 20 selfies. I'm not taking them, so I just gave up. They're very arty though. I quite like them.
Now this is going to be the question because this is generated art, which means it's the co-pilot problem. They have stolen from other people to generate a base to actually build everything from. So it's really, really, really good. Isn't like they still look crap. Like there's extra fingers hanging out everywhere. But this is art. Art is usually a construct of the creative world, i.e., a brain coming up with something and doing a thing. Even procedural art is generated from a brain coming up with the idea to do a thing.
Or don't make your bed.
Or what?
Don't make your bed. Unmade bed.
Oh yeah.
You know nothing of that. Okay, even people who don't know about art know about Tracy Emin's unmade bed.
Yeah.
Mike doesn't.
It was one of the big ones of like, well, how can you say this is art? God, when was it? Like 2005?
90, no, about 95, 96, around there.
God.
It went kind of Tracy Emin and David Hockney and people like that. Sort of is he the Shark Man? Is he
that's somebody else.
Half a cow or whatever. Damien Hirst. Sorry, that's what I was thinking of.
Studied him for my art GCSE.
But yes, so at what point do we claim, is this, well, one, how do we feel about the fact that it has ripped off and stolen thousands and thousands of images to build up the base to be able to do the rest of the AI work on top of it?
That's where the human element has come from.
Yeah. So we're stealing other people's human concepts to create generative art.
It's a bit like stealing the code then.
It has made a stab at being creative and turning that into a career. I think creativity is just reshuffling of things you've seen and experienced before in a new way, whether you do it consciously or unconsciously. So taking that perspective, I think AI generation is actually in line. How do we feel about it? Yeah, it's reusing other people's art quite literally to generate new ones.
I prefer to talk about this and Lensa and what it's doing and how it's generating it than fucking NFTs. I'll tell you that for a start.
Oh yeah. No.
Excellent, but yes, but like how do? Because you know what, I actually appreciate them. I do think they're pretty, especially when some people have gone in and fixed up some of the obvious artifacting from random AI generation.
As someone who also does like physical art, like I appreciate that even our machine overlords find hands difficult to do. I think in a better world where we had better like rights over creative output and things, this would be fine. I think most of the reasons it's not fine aren't anything to do with the technology itself, but to do with the landscape it's within. Yeah. I don't have any more sort of cognizant, coherent thoughts than that. But
there are certain sort of things like that, aren't there? Like like the sort of movement being recreated by Boston Dynamics that you sort of assume, or like we're learning with machine learning of a simple question, but the answer just can't be. You can't work out the answer or just can something because it's a human answer. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit like that, and a bit like Boston Dynamics and movement. That human movement is incredibly difficult to kind of replicate. So there's still sort of think in the art world, even something as like drawing, or when you have like something abstract, like draw a pair of glasses. You're like, well, what kind though? That kind of problem that isn't being harvested, like isn't data being harvested by captures by Google. Click on all the traffic lights. Wrong. You missed them.
1 pixel in the corner. Yeah.
I hate captures.
I really, that's a problem. That's a security problem we've really not solved, is it? Have you seen the one on the Vonage dashboard? I don't know if we've still got it actually. It's like a little maze. It's like a little maze thing where it's like drag it round. If you completed this maze, put the pin where the end of the maze would be. I'll tell you what, it's better than the traffic lights. I'll take that over that, or zebra crossings.
Is there any truth to the idea that they are using the output of people saying, "Are these traffic lights? Is this a zebra crossing or whatever?" to train autopilot cars?
I don't.
Is there any truth to that? They're using those as data sets?
No.
I don't know, because I have heard that it's a sort of. I don't know whether it's just like an urban myth that seems too logical.
It sounds too sort of I don't know. It's too cute to be true.
Also, the reCAPTCHA V2 has been around almost a decade longer than self-driving car tech.
Yeah, but like that data is still around, right? Lots of humans identifying road features.
Using a Web 2 reference, all that technology is, all that data is owned by a company, and they ain't going to give it away for free.
Well, I wouldn't say they were giving it away for free, but
yeah.
No, I don't necessarily believe that. It's just something I've heard over and over again. And every time I do a capture, it's in the back of my mind, like, if I get this wrong, is a Tesla going to kill a child? And the answer is the Tesla's going to kill the child anyway. But
Correct.
Yeah, I was about to say, in Web3 is going great in that site by Molly White. You could basically, it probably already exists. Someone will have done one for self-driving cars. I read one this about 2 hours ago. Someone in America, the car stopped on the freeway, pulled up into the hard shoulder, stopped, and then locked them inside.
Yikes. There was an 18-car pileup in San Francisco recently.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was the one where there's video of it, and it's actually quite distressing to watch, where the motor of the car outperformed the brakes, essentially. So you've got this runaway Tesla.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like, I think 2 people died, not the driver. But the video, you can really see him trying to gain control back of this car that is just basically run away. Yeah, it's abhorrent. They should not be on the roads.
And this is another reason why I don't want a driving license, and I want a human driving me for me, not
yes.
a robot.
Yes.
Also, San Francisco was quite full of self-driving cars. Not driving themselves, but then equipped as self-driving with a driver inside.
Yeah.
Like not 1 or 2 as curiosity, but at any given point you turn around and see one.
Oh yeah, you've been there recently.
Yeah, for 2 weeks-ish. And it's not just Teslas, it's at least 4 different ones, and then also prototypes.
Because prototypes on the road is a smashing idea.
They are not allowed to use the
prototypes in
self-driving.
production.
Also, there's self-driving Ubers. I maybe should not drop the name because it might not be Uber. But there are self-driving
Rideshare
services. Not during the day, because it's required that the driver is driving during the day. But I think during night, they are allowed to turn it on. And I have definitely been in a car where the driver was...
What's the rationale behind making it legal at night but not during the day?
Drunk people bounce better.
Maybe.
Yes, correct.
Trying to figure out what the blood alcohol content would do to your overall body, like viscosity. That's not the right word.
You just become jelly.
I mean, you do after the Teslas hit you, yeah.
Oh. But I finally look back at the stream because I'm trying to do the good thing and talking to the mic, not at the camera, and all I can see is Jim sniffing a cat. It's like his own personal cocaine.
I think the cat's sniffing me, to be
I
honest.
put in the Twitch chat, I miss my cat. It's been over 24 hours since I saw her. I can't be happy with this.
Yeah. This is unfortunately this is what cat owners are like. So you got to deal with it, Mike.
Even ones who have naked, sweaty cats.
Oh no, let's not talk about the weird Egyptian hairless things. They scare me.
I think they were originally bred in Canada, weren't they? Yeah.
They're North American by breed.
Which is just cruel. You live in one of the coldest places on earth and you decide to take your cat's hair away.
It's like, make the bald man cry.
They are very so when you stroke them, it's like it's like stroking a leather sofa. It's very strange.
Yeah, I've heard that they feel like suede, and they can also
Fine,
get
Russian leather.
they can also get greasy, which
Yeah.
is an unpleasant fact to know.
Greasy cats. That's
Mm.
not good, is it?
No.
I used to in Highgate, because this is what Highgate in North London was like. I knew two people that used to walk their ferrets in the park, and of course, both of them, like yellow chinos and sort of outrageous kind of dungarees and things like that. Because if you're going to own a ferret, you're going to have to stand out from the crowd a bit.
Got to lean into it. Yeah.
You got to own it. You got to own that ferret, and they absolutely stink because they're like otters. They've got like piles and like layers and layers and layers of fur, like an otter, to keep itself almost like watertight. So when you have to give them a bath takes about an hour and a half, and the mud just keeps on coming out from under them. It's just like, this is a lot of you could own a cat that cleans itself, or a dog which you don't have to clean that often.
Depends on the dog. One of my friends' families has a dog he's this big white, I think Labrador, like big and very like cream pale dog, and he loves freshly mown grass. You'll take him out and you'll bring him back and he'll be green, and he needs a bath obviously after every time because he's been rolling around in the freshly mown grass. Loves it. It's like crack cocaine to him.
You occasionally
shit for green shit.
Cat cocaine.
My last cat did not care for catnip at all. You would give him like something that was catnip scented or like had catnip rubbed into it, and all he would do is he would like grab it and put it near him and then sit proprietarily near it and be like, "This is mine now," but not interact with it in any other way. I think he just didn't have any brain cells.
Intention to sell to kittens. The thing we've had that as well. With certain, I've had a cat that just didn't care about catnip, and one that just rolled in it, and one that just done this. This one goes genuinely loopy. I did see quite a good. When you occasionally see a pet video or a cat video or something, I don't see them that often. Probably should watch them more often for my soul, but I did see one yesterday, and it was a cat sniffing a durian fruit. The one that stinks.
Yes.
And it just smells it and instantly starts doing the "I've just done a poo" with his paws. It's so weird. I've never had a durian fruit, but it's not making me want one.
Yeah.
Oh god. Right, next topic.
Why is everyone looking at me?
You did pick one already.
Because I've thrown one in. Right, isn't that random? All right, Jim, your turn. If nobody else is going to pick one.
I'm gonna do the one from the. I'm gonna do one. I'm gonna do a silly one before we end up sort of doing like some of the serious ones, because there's a couple of nasties on there. The BBC News article which I saw, and I just thought I'm going to put this in. It's from BBC. The tech section, and there were two sort of bits to it, and I thought, I mean, this is good tech journalism. This is because if you're going to write an article headline, you might as well make it this one, which is San Francisco makes U-turn on killer robots plan. And then I particularly liked about 3 or 4 paragraphs in. It said Dr. Catherine Colony from the group Stop Killer Robots, and I'm like, today I learned there's a group called Stop Killer Robots.
Good band name.
Great band name, but my
what genre? Sounds like
techno.
Techno? Oh.
Probably pop punk, really.
I think pop punk. It's got a very
symphonic metal is a shout. Also, maybe
it's got a very rule of 3, sort of bowling for soup, less than shake, kind of vibe to it going on. There's a sort of there's obviously a sort of a large bloke with a hockey top on playing the bass, because that's what you have to have. Anyway, so actually, the actual story is really boring. The actual story is about police using automated robots for bomb disposal. That's all it is. But they've called them killer robots, and there's the Stop Killer Robots Coalition.
I've also just read the bottom of the article, and there is actually like official responses from the San Francisco Police Department.
What have they said?
Enlighten us.
A spokesperson for the SFPD said robots could potentially be equipped with explosive charges to breach fortified structures containing violent, armed, or dangerous subjects.
Right. So what
bomb squad bots that move bombs.
That's what it is. So what they're going to use is they want to use the bomb squad robots that disarm bombs, but they want to put. This feels very American. Now we're going
They
to
are automating the killing of unarmed black men.
Yeah, I mean,
easier somehow.
It's like they're refining their techniques now, aren't they? Let's find new ways of being terrible at doing policing.
Oh, at the very bottom of the article, Jesus. In 2016, police in Dallas, Texas used a robot armed with C4 to kill a sniper who had killed 5 officers and injured several more.
Oh, wow.
So
precedent.
This isn't even like a theoretical. This is shit.
Unfortunately, having been in the US recently at tech events, looking at new startups and business ideas, it's leaning heavily hardware, robotics, and disguised defense.
Disguised defense?
As in, we're going to present a very cute use case for these machines and let you do the rest of the thinking.
I've got it, Yulia. I've got it for Mike so that he'll understand, right? So in the first Jurassic World, when they're training the Velociraptors, and it turns out that they actually want to use them as weapons.
Yeah.
It's that, but robots.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
The Velociraptors are cuter, though. Well, actually, that's debatable.
I was about to say, the Velociraptors are terrifying, but
apparently, and the director of developer relations at Vonage will back me up on this, that the Velociraptors in the Jurassic series look nothing like Velociraptors.
Yeah. I watched the most recent one of that on the plane on the way back from Sydney, and it was, I don't know, I was so offended by how heavily they were leaning on this nostalgia factor of bringing back the original trio, and that was the only time when the original theme played.
T-Rex,
and I was just like, man, it still doesn't make it good though. You're just showing me how. Oh my god. Okay. The second chair is fine. But yeah, it was like, it's just highlighting how different the movies are now to how they were then. It's like really shoving it in your face. Like we even brought back the original people to show you, to really highlight how much worse these movies are now. Yeah. You were right there, Mike.
I think the last one was an improvement, I must say. But the one before that, the one where it was like, cool. It was the the one where they're having like the fair and they were selling them off or whatever with Toby Watson. That's one of the worst films I think I've seen in the last 10 years.
Not gonna lie, nothing will ever beat Hold On to Your Butts and
Hold On to Your Butts. Actually, the reason why I got into development was mainly because of trying to understand what Dennis Nedry did in Jurassic Park. That's actually not a joke. That's true.
I mean, I had the same thing after watching the movie Hackers.
No, there you go. There you go. And also when you look back on it, if you look back on it, what they actually did, you're like, okay, so the actual operating system for Jurassic Park looks like it's Java, but it can't be quite Java, and it's running on
Linux.
It's running on. It was running on. What is it? This is a Unix machine. I know this. So, and they had Silicon Microsystems or whatever that used to do the graphics that were those machines. But that's it, Silicon Graphics. And then, but his desktop was a Mac, like the old System 7.5, and you're like, hang on a minute. And then they had those Connect 8 machines or whatever, which were the ones with the little lights on. Those were real. Those actually used to do that. but none of it made sense. And also, if you look at the video where he's supposed to be on a live chat talking to one of the people, when Nedry's talking to one of the dock workers, and he's like, I can't go now. I've only got an 18-minute window. I thought I could do it. You can see that it's a QuickTime video, and you can actually see the scroll bar at the bottom. What a mistake to make.
You have a thought
I do not.
there. Head is empty.
Sometimes it just wipes it clean.
I'll say I think that's maybe the nerdiest conversation I've ever been a part of. An in-depth analysis of like what the actual systems were that this person in Jurassic Park was using. That's not derogatory by any means.
Even better than that. Someone decided to recreate Jurassic Park systems and called it Jurassic Systems, and it's a JavaScript app. Go and find it.
Of course it is. When after you find out that Windows has been recreated in JavaScript.
That's already been done. So,
There's Photoshop in the browser. It's pretty cool.
yeah, it's called Figma.
No, it's got a Photopea. It's really good.
All right. Oh, I shall check that one out.
Actual arty person.
Yeah.
In a different life.
I remember your art collection. It smelled like drugs. Those expensive pens you had, which just whiffed to high.
Thank you for clarifying.
I would say lino printing, like oil-based lino printing, does have a very specific scent to it.
It's no, just you used to bring out these pens,
Yeah.
put them on the table, and all I could smell was like
Copic
sounds like
markers.
magic marker drugs.
Yeah. That's how you know they're the good ones.
Yeah, the good shit.
The good shit. Just open up my trench coat with it's just like lines of pens, like, hey kid.
Oh God, we've gone full circle. We're now pimping back.
On the upside, we actually do have a topic suggestion in the chat.
Yes.
Which is also, oddly enough, already in the worksheet, thank God. Because I haven't read it yet because of people commenting on it last night. And I went, I'm going to save my reaction.
Ooh,
oh
okay.
no, is this
Live mic
JV's
reaction?
one? Oh no, is this the Raspberry Pi one?
It is the Raspberry Pi one. Do we want to talk about it now, or do we want to procrastinate a little bit more?
Oh, should we just get it out of the way? The thing I saw this morning, someone quite well known who I do respect, reacting very, very negatively to the poor reception that it all got.
I think I saw the same person, and I was like,
the same person.
yeah.
And I was like, and it's because they used to work quite closely with the police, and like, get off the police's back, and you're like, well, A, the Raspberry Pi kind of community and what it stands for, and also B, the US police and what it stands for, I think is very, very different from a lot of the rest of Europe.
For Mike's benefit, shall we explain what happened, factually what happened?
I'm reading and...
Oh, okay, you're reading.
No, Phil,
So Raspberry Pi put out an announcement saying, we hired a policeman and it's going great. Meet person's name, who I honestly don't remember.
Toby Roberts.
Tony. Toby. Meet Toby. He has 15 years of experience as a surveillance officer. He has used drones as a to do surveillance as a hobby, so on and so forth.
That shouldn't be a hobby. That's called being a pervert.
Yeah, like if it's for your work, like I disagree that is a job that should exist. But doing it as your hobby is like, no, that just makes you a creep. And Raspberry Pi basically saying, we've hired him. He now works on Raspberry Pis. He's talking about how he's used Raspberry Pis to do all of the things that he's done before. And now he's very excited to be working with them. And people, and basically they're leaning really hard on this being the angle that they're proud to have this guy is because of this history that he has. And people responded to this being like, ranging from all cops are bastards, how this is cop propaganda, to hey, I'm really uncomfortable with the idea that somebody whose background is literally in surveillance is going to be working on these devices that so many of us have in our homes. Across that spectrum of responses, the Raspberry Pi Mastodon account basically started blocking people, responding in really hostile, inflammatory ways. It
was one of those things where it sort of like it progressively got worse. It started off with making light out of it and just joking back and saying,
they were
making like police puns and things. And you're like, I think this is a bit worse than that. Then when it started getting more serious and it just kind of like started becoming viral, then they started responding hostile. and actually like sniping back, and then finally, as you guys said, then they just started blocking people. The debate was being shut off, and you're like, this has just got this is a whole bad thing going on right now.
I wonder if it's like one person running that Mastodon account who just made some really bad decisions. But the thing is that that's their presence on the Fediverse, and they've burned a whole load of goodwill there. This sort of phenomenon of, on the Fediverse, people being like, all corporations are bad. We don't want to have any companies on here. If they do, they must set up their own instance. Raspberry Pi did that, and people were like, okay, we like Raspberry Pi. Let's see how this goes. And now this has happened. And it's kind of going to set the tone, I think, for like post-Twitter migration. What is the role of companies going to be on the Fediverse? And Raspberry Pi had a really good... They were laid up for it perfectly, and now this has happened.
Not gonna lie, when it comes to anything like this in tech, somebody always needs to screw up first to learn.
Yeah.
We had the lack of code of conduct problems years ago, which we talked about in the Tech Off topic before. People have to screw up for us all to learn from somebody screwing up in a big way. Yeah,
James just said is that the first main character in the Fediverse, which is, I saw that tweet too. It's wild that it was Raspberry Pi of all companies. I mean, I know that they've been moving more towards industrial use cases rather than home building.
Moving towards that has been their entire business goal.
Or I guess they're marketing towards it.
No, that's still been ground zero.
Oh, okay.
It's such a shame.
Enterprise industrial.
It's such a shame watching them go from we're reinventing the BBC Micro to get people to get kids back into programming, and then like this is the conclusion. It's not great. It's disappointing.
Sorry?
This will not kill the Raspberry Pi.
No, but there are people who have previously evangelized them who will now not do that anymore.
That is true.
Like if that was my company, if I was DevRel at that company, I'd be salty as hell.
Sorry, I'm just listening to Jim snort.
I thought I could get away with it, but I couldn't.
We have a mute button.
I thought I could get away with it without the mute button. I mean, but it turns out that I do need it. So that takes us back to if we're going back. Okay, so that if the Raspberry's gone, then that means we're going to have to look back at the amount of relaunches of the Spectrum ZX there've been.
Hang on, no, there was a relaunch of them of the BBC Micro.
I played with them recently.
I believe it was re-released in something like 2012 or something on modern hardware. Because I remember it becoming a thing, not long after Raspberry Pi, where they went, "Oh, hang on, there's a little market for this. We can actually do a thing." But it was so short-lived that because they just couldn't produce enough, and there wasn't enough in the market, they just stopped existing.
Is Adafruit the same type of thing? Oh, they sell other things.
Adafruit is just a reseller.
Yeah, they're a reseller. Yeah.
They same with Pi Hut and all the others.
Sure. I used a microbit. Somebody brought a bunch of them to the Transcode hackathon that ran before EuroPython this year. Good fun.
There you go. There's a good. I noticed. I looked at the ZX Spectrum. I've now pronounced it right because Jez Higgins picked me up on it and said, I actually said on local radio, I said Spectrum ZX, and he said, "Oh, you got the name of the machine wrong live on air, did you?" And I suddenly realised my mistake. So there've been 2 Kickstarters, and they've delivered. Both of them have delivered about 20% of the actual orders, and both companies I think went bust. One of them tried to do a handheld that looked like an amazing prototype, and they didn't actually get round to industrial building it at all, which was a shame.
It is the BBC Microbit, and was re-released in 2016.
That's living memory.
Another interesting one is the Roland. Not the drum machine, the Roland 303, which is the Roland 303 it was an attempt to create a synthetic bass and ended up being the thing that created the genre of acid house. It created the acid noise, that synth noise, which it wasn't supposed to do. So It created it
So much
years
of music
later.
history is just that.
When loads of people about it was a complete flop, and about 5 years later, Detroit artists picked them up in thrift stores for a tenner. And someone, see if I can find it. There's quite a lot of them. Someone created the board of it as open source, and then you could buy pre-made 303s. It was so weird.
So much of music history is just, this thing didn't work as we expected it to, but it made a really interesting noise. I bet I can do something with it.
Well, yeah, that's my favorite one of that is always Aphex Twin. When Aphex Twin started out, the first thing they did was they won a competition to make a Commodore 64 make music. And what he did is he overloaded the processors to make it have a tone, and then adjusted the tones. Which
Have
is
you seen?
it just explains Aphex Twin, really.
There's a sea shanty band called the Longest Johns. They've got quite big over the last couple of years, and they have an album called Commodore 1864, which is chiptune versions of their songs.
Oh,
It's delightful.
You see, that is good.
Fully recommend.
There's a lot of
they're the guys who go on Sea of Thieves and sing sea shanties on Sea of Thieves.
Yes, okay. I have heard about that, because we did have we had a one-off fusion where Jess Baker, I think her name is, was on it, and she was one of the lead devs on Sea of Thieves at Rare.
Oh, cool.
And she was showing us how they were recreating physics in order to do unit testing, and it was absolutely mind-boggling. They were to do tests. They were actually getting pirate ships from the game to fire cannonballs and then checking the physical trajectory of them. It was so bizarre.
I love game dev. I never want to be in game dev, but I love hearing stories from the workshops.
Oh, I don't deal with crunch time very well, so I think I'd be
go back into the new Pokemon. There's the thing in game dev where you have some hidden object in every area that you tie a load of state to, right? Yeah. In the new Pokemon game, they've used Pokeballs for that, and they didn't hide them properly within the landscape of the game, so you can just see Pokeballs poking through the floor sometimes. In the Pokemon centers, in various areas, you just be like, oh, there's a netball there. I love it. Game dev.
Did any of you see? Did any of you see that there's an infamous video on YouTube for this? Did anyone see 2003's Russian video game Big Rigs Over the Road Racing?
No, but now I want to.
Did I mention this, Mike? Did I mention this on one of the podcasts? No. I'll have to find. It's. There's two of my favorite things in video games. That's one of them, because they released it, and it wasn't that it wasn't complete. It was more like, why did you even attempt this at the first place? You could only do one mode. It had a AI that didn't even start, and you were supposed to be racing in this one thing. None of the clipping worked, so you could drive straight through mountains. None of the physics actually worked on the thing. So if you reversed in a perfect circle, the reverse speed would just keep on going up and up and up until you were going at 1 billion miles an hour in a circle. And if you press stop, you just instantly stop. This just bizarre.
There must be a way to leverage that into flinging yourself into outer space. In that Mario speedrun video where he's with the half an A press. Have we all seen this? Mario.
I'm not sure if it's the one that I've seen.
Culture. It involves somebody setting Mario running up a slope with the thing above his head, so he can't actually run up the slope, and building up speed for 12 hours, and then catapulting himself into specifically a parallel universe that is a multiple of 4 parallel universes away from the one he started in. Because each step of the foot needs to land in a parallel universe, and it's 4 steps for a complete walk cycle. Game dev.
Did you say that this is, what do you call
minimum? If you Google half A press, you'll get it.
Right, I'm gonna have to.
Mike is looking mind blown.
The next 20
minutes of joy.
My next favorite video game fact, and this one is an absolute corker, is three people tried to create a point and click style adventure in the early 90s, and I think they were building it for the Amiga originally, and it was supposed to be built on those kind of LucasArts kind of games at the time, and they gave up and nothing really happened, and then they relaunched themselves, and in about 2006, and had a completed video game that was it was complete. It was not very enjoyable to play. It was very, very It was very, very ropey. It was very surreal and weird. And it's about you wake up and you're the captain of the Mary Celeste, but you're lost in a maze. It's very odd. So as this came out, it turned out that someone in the art, all the directors of the company started blaming each other. They lifted almost the entire game's contents from other games, mostly things like Quake, Skyrim, Oblivion.
Oh, things people would know. No one would recognize that. Surely.
No one will notice. Like if you lift all of the, and when you see a video of going through it, the amount of stuff they lifted was incredible. But the best part of it is like, so it got binned straight away, and also people started like looking into it from an investigative viewpoint, and they couldn't work out how to do most of the game engine coding themselves anyway. So the forums were full of this bloke asking questions on how to code his own game, and he couldn't do it himself. But there's a video of the ending when you complete the game, and it is the wackiest shit you've ever seen. It's so bonkers. I have to try and find out what it was called. They do a song. They all do a sing song around a piano, like a sort of a pub song, with these weird gremlins, and like so you know the film Spawn. They've stolen one of the aliens and tried to like loop it, so this face just does this, and
that's the end of a night out with some DevRels, to be honest.
Karaoke, yes.
Yeah.
Video game with amazing ending.
No,
Do you want to go back to the Raspberry Pi thing or no?
If there's more information, yes, because I'm curious. Because I got halfway down that thread.
Yeah.
Also, having that as a hobby isn't that illegal. I'm pretty sure it is, at least in the
depends
UK.
what you do.
With the specific wording of drones for my brain's got the word
Surveillance?
Surveillance, thank you. Drone surveillance for a hobby. That's just pervert.
I kind of don't care if it's illegal. It's unethical, I would say.
Yes. No, but I was convinced it would have been illegal. At least in residential
It might
areas.
depend on like whether or not the drone is going into other people's property. Because I know that if you. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say if you instead of if it's a miscommunication, you're labeling it as surveillance as a hobby, rather than like if you were say like interested in photography and you were going into a field and sending a drone up or whatever, that kind of makes sense. By the way, Mike, in the private chat, the game was called Limbo of the Lost, and there's the epic ending where they all sing.
Epic name.
It's got
just
full on late stage Monkey Island vibes from that video.
It is as an ending. It is the most mad thing. It's all the characters you meet along the way in the game, who actually some of them are supposed to be baddies or whatever. And it turns out that they all want to congratulate the main character for completing it, and so they all say, "Let's sing," and they all sing a song about completing the game. It's very, very kind of very trippy, acid inspired.
Quite often I have reactions but no words.
That definitely like a reaction with the words like oh good god. Right, was there more on the Raspberry Pi thing?
I was just thinking about when you said like, oh, if you're going into a field to take photos and with a drone, and I wouldn't frame that as using drones for surveillance as a hobby.
Drones for photography.
Yeah,
which
like
is a wildlife thing.
Yeah, like the specific framing is. I would say the original specific thing, I'm just like, that's a little bit tone deaf, maybe a little bit sus. But the thing that bothered me particularly about it was the response to people saying things. As somebody whose job includes, when I'm employed, includes like, managing perceptions and talking to people who have feedback and whose opinions I care about, it seemed like such a cat-handed way to handle things.
It's real. It's really, really tone deaf, and that for me again is that I'd agree that's the main problem with this isn't necessarily who they got or how they described it. It's not great. It's a bit of a boo boo, but it's all in the handling. And talking of how you handle things, we could go on to logically the next topic, which includes a conference and how they handled things. And it's not Modern Front Ends Live.
Oh, I was about to say
we did that last time.
Done that well.
Yeah.
Is serverless ready?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, fill me in.
First I heard of this saw a tweet about it where somebody was saying we've lined up our favorite speakers to talk about serverless. Like we are at AWS reInvent and now we've put together this 1-day virtual conference and it's 10 dudes. And that's the panel. And I didn't then follow up with much of what else happened. Like I tweeted, I responded and said, hey, your panel is all 10 dudes, right? You couldn't find a single non-dude to speak here. Is this the future of serverless that you are promoting? No response to any of the tweets that any other people that I know made. Various people have commented on this, and I don't think there's been any response from the organizers themselves.
No, there's been no official response, but
yeah, like Joe and I were talking about this a little yesterday, and I think you know more than me about what's been published there.
We kind of dug, like me and someone else on my team decided to sort of dig a little bit, and it was mainly from I think the main reason why we decided to dig a bit is possibly the thing about having a manel is if you find yourself on one, and I have been announced in an all male lineup. Once I know I'm on an all male lineup, I go, is there anyone else to be announced? And then the answer is no. I'm like, okay, cool. You've either got to change the lineup or I'm not doing it. And I've had to do that once, and unfortunately, I brought a conference down because of that. But it's not really my choice. It's just it's almost part of this. Actually got some. Someone was talking about this recently. It was I think someone mentioned Kat Cosgrove has actually got a rider about these things of like if you're going to have me speak, then you just read this, and it's not a rider like I need 15 bottles of this particular brand of fizzy water,
and only the brown M&Ms, and
exactly, and half an orange in a G&T glass filled with painkillers. I don't know, whatever it is they used to ask for.
No, it's like, hey, here are the things that you might have missed about how to treat me like a person.
It really, you do it, you look at it and you go, this is all common sense. Like you shouldn't have to put this, but it turns out you do.
But clearly they do, because they've clearly experienced it not being met enough times to actually have to put it into words.
But we sort of had a bit of a nosy. The thing that struck me, the two things that were the most striking about it were firstly that none of the speakers responded at all, of which you're like, I mean, what's going on there? One of the speakers was in developer relations. That makes it very, very weird. And then the organizers said nothing. One of the speakers did speak out, and then we got some context off them. And I don't really know why it ended up having to be one of the speakers taking the kind of brunt of it all, because that's not right. This doesn't really seem the right way around. But the organizers themselves are refugees who have been used to a fake meritocracy for their whole lives, and are very, very not happy with white blokes telling them what to do. And that is a very fair kind of way of going of going about it. The problem is that then when you do an all male panel lineup like that, and then people who are the first people are starting to call it out are all of that same demographic, because all the people in DevRel that were white blokes. So they got very unhappy. I think they knew as soon as it happened, when the outcry started, that they'd messed up. But like with any of these things, I mean, we mentioned Kat, who was at Pulumi recently, when Pulumi pulled their stunt of papering all of HashiConf with all of their stuff. You're like, don't do that. Or if you do it, you can be excused if you just say, "Oh, we were wrong about this." And whenever tech companies hold their hands up, it's kind of all right. But the organisers didn't. They did the same thing as what has happened with Modern Front End Lives. They've gone.
Yeah.
They're
not even like posting through it. It was just radio silence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how to not handle things, which raises valid questions for organisers, especially if they've been used to doing a world of good, and they've done conferences before that have had diverse lineups. It's just that it wasn't at the forefront of their mind when they were doing this one. But it is like, if you start getting to a stage where you are a major conference organizer that people are paying attention to, someone somewhere really has got to give some sort of PR and press and D&I kind of training with that. I think
There
it
should
needs
be
to
a
come with the
checklist
territory.
that you run through at some point, like Cat's Rider, right? Like there should be something where you go, okay, before we go public with this, are we meeting some basic criteria that is going to get us not crucified?
Yeah. Because when things do go wrong, it's usually, if you haven't developed that kind of that thick skin of going, right, okay, the easiest way is we've messed up here and people are angry with us, but we understand why, and you hold up your hands. If you don't have that guard ready, or you're not prepared, you don't know how to respond to them, then you're going to take it personally, and that's when there's all sorts of problems with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's true of like being public, whether that or being in a position of sort of authority, or like, I'm not going to say that the conference organizers are in authority, but it's kind of the same where like if you mess up, you have to be able to own it, and you can't just like dodge or ignore it because people will remember.
Yeah,
like,
and
the least you can do is acknowledge it at least.
Yeah, like
And
I mean,
then
I'm
take it
thinking
from
about
there.
Raspberry Pi, for
Yeah.
example.
yeah,
Yeah, it's not even that there was something that was off in the first place that's really noticeable about it.
But what
yeah.
Yulia said, if they all they need to do is go, okay, we've clearly made a mistake here. We're just going to put things on hold. Then people are going, oh, okay, that's fine, and it was just sort
Would
of
have
died
flown
down,
over.
and you could relaunch it. But now you can't relaunch it under that name because it's burned too many bridges, and that includes things like sponsors who pay attention to these kind of things. And unfortunately, a lot of the sponsors, the big sponsors that have big budgets, are run by teams that are answerable to developer relations teams, i.e., all of us. And we
It's a small
notice these
world.
things, so we have input into what gets sponsored. So,
Do we have a happier comment to end all this on? Because I'm going to have to send Yulia away in a moment.
yeah,
Elden
we
Ring
knew. I mean,
end
we
of the
knew
year?
it was going to be somewhat depressing, right?
I know, but I don't want to be depressed on a Friday.
Want to talk about DevRelCon? You guys are both there. Anything interesting? Anything fun?
Okay, so it's fun. It's always a bunch of your fellow people going and doing your thing. It's great.
Karaoke, yeah.
Yeah. But the talk that has stood out the most to me, oddly enough, wasn't the most useful talk. Because there were plenty of useful talks on topics ranging from what to do during recession for DevRel. Ben Greenberg, actually very useful. Even if we are now officially the other Twilio. But hey, don't start, mate. You're the other Twilio first. But there was one by Don Goodman, who, if people aren't aware of who he is katsudon.tech, consultant for DevRel, used to be very, very famous for wearing a leather trilby, like Indiana Jones hat. It's like, excellent dude. He did a talk on the neurochemistry behind communities and relationship building. And the entire thing ended up being about Oxycontin.
Oxytocin.
Now, Oxycontin is something very different.
Yes.
And he was explaining how it's a chemical, it's a neuroreceptor, which is
It's the love one.
yes.
Yep.
But unlike serotonin and
Epinephrine.
yeah, which are one-hit ones where you do an action and you suddenly get this chemical surge to like. So serotonin is just the happy drug.
Norepinephrine, I think.
Norepinephrine. That's the one.
Yeah, the lusty drug.
Yes.
You get that hit, and it's like, that's a one-shot. Oxytocin requires constant validation and building and etc. However, because it is a neurochemical, you do one thing, it will fuck off. So it is like it was the biochemistry of how neurochemistry.
Yeah.
Of how to behave in a way that is positive to you and your community without ruining everything in one go.
Well, it's like there was that tweet thread that went around a while ago when Twitter was first going through the circumstances about the thermocline of trust and how there's this boundary where like things can be crap for a while, but you'll hit a boundary where you'll lose all your users or you'll lose your community members or whatever. And from that point, even though it was only a small thing that took you over the edge, you cannot recover.
Yeah.
And I think there's a similar thing there where it's like, it's something that's very carefully built up over time, but you can blow it all in one go. Raspberry Pi maybe has done that with a certain number of people.
Yes.
I think it was actually mentioned that once you build up a community like that, and people kind of start thinking similarly and also being very defensive of the group they are part of.
Oh yeah. Well,
So you can do
downsides.
a one-time mistake and blow it all.
Yeah.
But you can also build an echo chamber where people get toxic in that community as well.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes. One thing I was super proud of in my last job was the forum community that we had there, which was like, I think they managed to thread the needle of this is a community with a really strong identity, but it's also welcoming to newcomers and sort of not cliquey in that way. But it was a lot of work on the part of moderators to make it that way.
But did you all wear pink?
No.
That's a Mean Girls reference, and I will not be ashamed of it.
No. There are things I won't say on the air about Mean Girls, but yeah.
Okay, I'm about to get in trouble when the internet stops. But yes,
No.
There were plenty of other really good talks. I wish I got to see more, but I was helping with some work-related stuff for two of the ones I wanted to see.
Sorry.
They'll be recorded though. I'm really excited to go and catch up on recordings once recordings are available.
Somebody's going to have to go down a Raspberry Pi hole.
Pi hole is a thing. That's the thing that.
Oh, that's the ad blocker.
Yes.
Yes.
I really want to set that up.
But yeah, have we got any last rounding comments before I have to kick somebody out?
You can catch if I pass a CFP for next year's DevRelCon or the year after of my talk about evangelism and religion.
Oh no!
Mike's
I am going to be the most annoying person in your audience. You're not ready.
Oh, it's all right. I think
we've been talking for an hour and a half, and I haven't even managed to get any Judaism talk in here. I feel saved up for you and your talk.
I did have a good 2 hours with Ben Greenberg about this. I've asked a lot of people whether my talk idea of bringing lessons from religion is a good idea, and about 2 people say it's terrible, of which Mike is one, and everyone else is, I think, just wants to see what will happen.
Yeah, I'm excited because it will give me fertile soil for being a little shit to you.
I mean, I have to deal with Mike Elsmore. That's enough, right?
Just wait till we unionize.
But yes.
Feel like we have a topic for next time.
Also, we're going to be submitting for Yokohama, so yeah, we'll have some practice first.
I realized I blew up my intro, and I'm regretting it. I should have left with, "Hi, I'm Yulia," and Mike keeps on dragging me into all things DevRel and finding new and unimaginable ways of putting me on the spot. Last time.
That's a good. I quite like that. That's good.
I'm not going to edit that the right way round. That's a lot of work.
That's all right.
I've been in that. I've been in the position of being put on the of my manager being in the room and then putting myself on the spot, which happened at Fusion when I was making a Ruby joke, and I said, "Are there any Rubyists in the audience?" There were 120 people in the audience, and the only person that put up their hand was my manager. So I'm like, "Well, what do I do now?"
Say is correct. Is what I'm hearing.
It's because Birmingham has a strong disrespect for DHH.
Wise, healthy, commendable. I agree.
Excellent.
No.
Prince.
You know, like the sort of the didn't happen of the year, like this didn't happen. It's a bit like that with DHH, isn't it? It's just like, yeah, but no one likes him, do they? Oh, Musk probably likes him.
No. Right. Any last remarks before I shut this down? Because at some point it's going to go really off the rails. I have a feeling.
I mean, the whole thing has been off the rails, but that means we've done our job, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Touche. Good point.
Chaos.
But this is open to you two as well for remarks, because he's already pimped himself up for a CFP.
As long as it's off the rail and not off the chair.
Oh.
I don't think I can top that. I'm going to just leave it. I'll tweet a photo of that chair.
Right then, if that's the case, thank you everybody who's wanted to tune in. Thank you everybody who's listened to this remotely. We apologise that you've missed some of the references, but my butthole has been in pain. Physically because of a chair. And yes. Anyway, thank you very much. We will see you all at a later date. Goodbye.
Viole.